Hello YouTube, this is Samaris Hunter bringing you my Yusei Synchro deck profile for February 2018. I understand that there hasn't been any updates to this deck, but I don't think that really matters much. I'm sorry for this setup. My phone's camera is not working, so just bear with me, okay? So let's get started. First, I run three Junk Synchron. This is a very important card to the deck, as essentially he allows you to once he's normal summoned, you get to special summon one level 2 or lower. Think lower monster in the graveyard in defense position. However, its effects are negated. So you can usually pull off an easy level 5 Synchro summon using this tuner. This deck relies heavily on tuners and special summoning, as you probably have guessed. Next, I run 3 Quillbolt Hedgehog, another staple of Yusei's. His effect is that if this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. However, you must control a tuner monster in order to use this effect. One of my favorite techniques is to use tuning. Retrieve a monster that can be special summoned when I have no monsters on the field. Then discard a card, and usually it's Quillbolt that gets discarded. Summon Junk Synchron. Get a level 2 out of the graveyard and Quillbolt, and Synchro into a quick level 7 Synchro monster. Next, I run 3 Unknown Synchron. The words are no doubt in backwards, and I'm not sure how the picture quality is. Again, my phone's camera's not working, so I can't record this on my phone. I'm sorry. Just like I said, bear with it. His effect is if your opponent controls a monster and you don't, special summon it. So basically it's a Cyber Dragon. However, unlike Cyber Dragon, you can only use that effect once per duel. Next, I run 2 Quick Draw Synchron. This is probably one of the better tuner monsters in the deck, as you can special summon this card from my hand by sending one monster from my hand to the graveyard. You can substitute this card for any one Synchron tuner monster. However, you can only use it as Synchro material for a monster that requires a Synchron tuner. So it can replace unknown. So it can pretty much summon cards like, let's see here, Junk Destroyer, Jet Warrior, Road Warrior, etc. And that's about it. Next, I run 2 Jet Synchron. Its effect reads that if this card is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can add 1 junk monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is in the graveyard, you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard, special summon this card, but it is banished when it leaves the field. You can only use it once per turn, and only once. I hate how it limits you like that, but you gotta admit it's fairly useful. Next, I run 2 Rush Warrior. He's a fun monster, as during the damage calculation on either player's turn, if a warrior Synchro monster you control battles an opponent's monster, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, and the battling monster's attack becomes double, but only during the damage calculation only. You can banish the card from the graveyard, then target 1 Synchron monster in the graveyard, and add it to your hand. So it's a good way to get Junk Synchron back into your hand. Unfortunately, like it says, you have to banish Rush Warrior. So, no quick level 5 using that one. But as a nice replacement, we have 2 Synchron carriers. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Synchron monster in addition to your normal summon or set. So basically, you normal summon this one, and you immediately get to normal summon another monster, so long as it has Synchron in the name. You can only gain this effect once per turn. If another Synchron monster is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material for the Synchro summoning of a warrior or machine-type Synchro monster, while you control this card, you can special summon 1 Synchron token, machine-type, Earth, level 2, attack 1000, defense 0. You can only use this effect of Synchron carrier once per turn. So basically it gives you another material you can Synchro into, because you can use tuners to Synchro summon, and I like that. Next I run 2 Level Eater. Level Eater is dead useful, because if this card is in the graveyard, you can target 1 face-up level 5 or higher monster you control, reduce its level by 1, and if you do, special summon this card from the graveyard. You cannot tribute except for it cannot be distributed except for a tribute summon. Duh. I didn't know that. Next, 2 Tuning Wear. Like I said, I can't tell if you can see it. I don't really want to get my face in it. After all, it's the cards you want to look at, not my ugly mug. Yeah, there we go. Here, give me a zoom into it. That's Tuning Wear. This card can be treated as a level 2 monster when used for the Synchro summoning. If this card is sent to the graveyard for a Synchro summon, draw 1 card. I pretty much use it for the drawing effect. I usually keep it at level 1 because usually I don't need it for anything more than that. Next I run just 1 Turbo Synchron. When this card declares an attack, you can change the attack target to defense position. When you take battle damage while this card is attacking, you can special summon 1 monster from your hand with attack that is less than or equal to the battle damage you took. This card has saved my butt at least 3 times, because I would always slam him into the highest attack powered monster on the field after shifting it to defense mode, thus granting me an incredibly powerful monster summoned to the field, and then I tune it. The only downside to Yusei's deck is that if not all his monsters are incredibly weak in terms of attack power. That's the only downside to it. Next I run 1 Junk Anchor. For a Synchro summon, you can substitute this card for any 1 Synchro tuner monster, or Synchron tuner monster. Once per turn, you can discard 1 card, then target 1 non-tuner junk monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target. And if you do, immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro summon 1 Synchro monster that lists the Synchron monster as a tuner, using that monster and this card only. This Synchro materials are banished instead of being sent to the graveyard. Warning: this should be used as a last resort. Although I have seen people actually pull off some amazing plays with Junk Anchor. It's pretty self-explanatory, so I don't need to go into any more detail. Next, I run 1 Vice Dragon. If your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, special summon this card. However, its attack and defense are halved. It kinda sucks, but it's an easy level 5 monster. Sometimes I like tuning it by sometimes. If I have Tuning Wear and Vice Dragon out, basically I would get Tuning Wear out by utilizing the effect of Junk Synchron here, and then I would Synchro into Stardust Dragon or Junk Berserker, and then I get to draw a free card. And I haven't seen many decks run this card, but I run it because why not? 1 Majestic Dragon. I had to trade one of my good cards for this one. He wasn't willing to give it up. This card cannot be used as a Synchro monster, material monster, except for the Synchro summon of a Majestic monster. Well, that works. Sort of. There's only 2 of them. 1 level warrior. This is your all-around great guy. Because if there's no monsters on the field, you can normal summon this monster from your hand as a level 2 monster. If your opponent controls a monster, you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand as a level 4 monster. He's pretty much a be whatever you need me to be at that time card. So, it's really cool. Although, most of the time I like to keep him at level 3. But that's just me. Next, I run 1 Synchron Explorer. When this card is normal summoned, you can target 1 Synchron monster in the graveyard, special summon that target, but its effects are negated. It's a quick way to get another Synchro monster out, that's for certain. I can't say that I've actually ever won any duels with this deck. You know, that the opponent wasn't using Synchro monsters too. It's kind of embarrassing, but that's what you get when you make an old deck. And last, for the monsters, I have 1 Speed Warrior. Once per battle phase, when this card is normal summoned this turn, you can make its attack become double its original attack until the end of the battle phase. It's a shame it only works on the turn it's summoned, but oh well. 1 second. That's it for the monsters. Now on to the spells. I run 3 Tuning. This is going to be the most important card you ever run in this deck. Or any deck that revolves around Synchro summoning. There you go. Because its effect is that you get to add 1 Synchron Tuner monster from your deck to your hand and send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Because there's so many level 2 or lower monsters in that deck, go for Junk Synchron. You can't go wrong. Yeah, sit up there. Next I run 2 Starlight Junction Field Spells. This is a pretty good card too. As you contribute 1 tuner monster, special summon 1 Synchron monster from your deck with a different level than the tributed monster you had on the field. During your opponent's turn, if you special summoned a Synchro monster from your extra deck, target 1 card on the field and shuffle it into the deck. So, it's nice because you get to use this card's effect on your opponent's turn, secondary effect on your opponent's turn, pretty much bouncing one of their most annoying cards from their field to the deck. I have actually done this multiple times on a Neospatian Grand Mole. One of my friends loves to spam its effect. It annoys the crap out of me. At least until I get Starlight Junction on the field. Then he's the one who's getting salty. I run 2 Warrior Returning Alive. Because this deck has so many Warrior monsters, there's no reason why you shouldn't run at least 2. I've seen some people run 3, but I prefer 2. You get to select 1 Warrior monster in the graveyard and add it to your hand. Easy peasy. 2 Mystical Space Typhoon to blow up any back row the opponent might have. Or at least 1 card in their back row. That's it for the spell cards. I only run 2 traps. One of them is Starlight Road. This is actually a really good card. It's bailed me out at least 5 times. You get to activate this effect. You can only activate this effect when a card that would destroy 2 or more cards that you control is activated. You get to negate the effect, destroy the card, then special summon 1 Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. One of my friends loves spamming Regeki, and that's pretty much how I get him. I would activate this card, negate and destroy Regeki, and then get an immediate Stardust Dragon on the field to which he will rage. And lastly, 1 Scrap Iron Scarecrow. I did run 2 at one point. I don't know why I removed the second one, but when the opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster, negate the attack, and then set this card face back down instead of sending it to the graveyard. So it pretty much stops 1 attack every turn, and if you have more than 1, you can activate each one individually and utilize their effect to stop up to 3 attacks. That'll teach your opponent to try something. You know, until the opponent gets mad enough and blows it up. That's it for the main deck. Now on to the extra deck. All of these are Synchro monsters, as you'd probably expect. First up is Stardust Dragon. It wouldn't be a Yusei deck without it. It requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters to create. During either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that will destroy a card or more than 1 card on the field, you can tribute this card, negate the activation, and destroy it. And during the end phase, it can be special. This card can be special summoned back from the graveyard. Most, if not all, Stardust monster cards have that last effect in it. It's pretty much the monster that hardly ever dies. The only way it does stay dead permanently is if the opponent negates the effect. Next, I run 1 Shooting Star Dragon, because again, it wouldn't be a Yusei deck without it. It requires 1 Tuner Synchro monster and 1 Stardust Dragon. Each of these can be activated once per turn. It has 3 effects, and you can use all 3 in 1 turn. You can reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, but you shuffle back them in. And the card's maximum number of attacks is equal to the number of tuner monsters revealed. So if you reveal 3 tuners, Shooting Star can attack 3 times that turn. And considering it has an attack power of 3,300, it can pretty much devastate your opponent. You can negate the activation of effect that will destroy a card or cards on the field, and then destroy it. And when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can select it, then remove this card from play, negate the attack. And of course, it comes back when it's removed from play by its effects. And its final form is 1 Shooting Quasar Dragon. It requires 1 Tuner Synchro monster and 2 or more non-tuner Synchro monsters. This card right here is difficult to get out on the field, so I don't usually use it. But it's in here in case I do get the opportunity to do so. It must be Synchro summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card's maximum number of attacks per battle phase equals the number of non-tuner monsters used as Synchro materials. And once per turn, during either player's turn, when a card or effect would be activated, negate activation, destroy it. When this card leaves its field by this effect, special summon 1 Shooting Star Dragon from your extra deck. Quasar is the only one that does not have the resurrection effect. But you do get a free Shooting Star Dragon, so I'm not going to complain there. Next, Stardust Cipher Divine Dragon. Because why not? It requires 1 Tuner Synchro monster and 2 or more non-tuner Synchro monsters. It must be Synchro summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. The first time each card you control will be destroyed by each turn by battle or card effect, it is not destroyed. This includes, so basically your opponent activates Regeki, your monsters are safe. At least once. Once per turn, during each player's turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can negate the effect. If you do, destroy the card on the field. You can banish this card from the graveyard, then target 1 level 8 or lower Stardust monster from the graveyard, special summon. This is another monster without the resurrection effect. Yet it's still considered a Stardust monster. 1 Cosmic Blazer Dragon. I actually got fortunate enough to stumble across this one. It's one of my favorites. It requires 1 Tuner Synchro monster and 2 or more non-tuner Synchro monsters. It must be Synchro summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can banish this card until the end of the phase to activate 1 of these quick effects. When your opponent activates a card or effect, negate the activation and destroy the card. When your opponent would summon a monster, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, negate the attack, and then end the battle phase. So basically, you have the effect of Mirror Force, Solemn Warning, and negate attack. And it's pretty cool. And it stays banished to the end of the phase, so it returns to the field. And because I run Majestic Dragon, of course I'm going to run Majestic Star Dragon. Mostly because I love its design. Again, I'm not sure how well you can see these cards. Sorry. It requires one Majestic Dragon, one Stardust Dragon, and one non-tuner monster. So, level leader. Or tuning wear. During either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you contribute this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy all cards your opponent controls. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and negate its effect until the end of this turn. You can activate one of its effects, of this card's effects, once per turn. During the end phase, target one Stardust Dragon in your graveyard, return this card from the field to the extra deck to special summon that target. So you get to trade this guy out for Stardust if you want. Next, one Stardust Warrior, one Tuner Synchro monster, and one or more non-tuner Synchro monsters. During either player's turn, if your opponent would special summon a monster, you contribute this card, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy the monster. During your end phase, if this card activated this turn, you can special summon it from the graveyard. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this face-up card you control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, it doesn't matter how it leaves. It can be bounced back to the extra deck, destroyed, or banished. All three work. You can special summon one level 8 or lower warrior synchro monster from your extra deck. It's treated as a synchro summon. And it wouldn't feel like a Yusei deck without this one either. The first synchro monster we ever see, Junk Warrior. Requires one Junk Synchron and one or more non-tuner monsters. If this card is synchro summoned, it gains attack equal to the total level of all total attack of all level 2 monsters that you currently control. Many people who focus on Junk Warrior a lot will run cards like run cards like Mage Power or United We Stand, and equip it to their level 1 or 2 or lower monsters. Synchro summon into Junk Warrior using 2 other cards that don't have it equipped. And Junk Warrior will then receive an incredibly big power boost. Next, I run one Junk Destroyer. It requires Junk Synchron and one or more non-tuner monsters. This card is synchro summoned. You can target cards on the field up to the number of non-tuner monsters used for synchro summon of this card. Destroy those targets. This includes the back row. So if there's any pesky back row you need to get rid of, you can smash them. One Jet Warrior. I was going to run 2, but requires one Jet Synchron and one or more non-tuner monsters. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target one card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you contribute one level 2 or lower monster. Special summon this card in defense position, but banish it when it leaves the field. You use this effect once per turn. Next one, TG Hyper Librarian. Basically, it requires one tuner and one or more non-tuner monsters. When a monster synchro summoned, draw one card. However, this card must be faced up on the field to activate and resolve this effect. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then for everyone's favorite Yu-Gi-Oh waifu, at least I assume she is, Black Rose Dragon. One tuner, one or more non-tuner monsters. When this card is synchro summoned, destroy all cards on the field. Banish one plant monster from the graveyard, target one defense position monster your opponent controls, change its attack position, and its attack becomes 0 for the rest of the turn. I only use this card as a nuke to get rid of any all pesky monsters my opponent controls. Unfortunately, it blows up my monsters too, so I have to be careful. Next, one Road Warrior. It requires Road Synchron, however, because we run quick draw Synchron, that's not much of a problem. And 2 or more non-tuner monsters. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 level 2 or lower warrior or machine monster from your deck. The deck is chock full of nothing but warrior machines, so no problems there. Now, as for those two Synchro, as for the Synchro tuner monsters, I run Excel Synchron. It's one of the better of the two. 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters are used for its creation. Once per turn, you send 1 Synchro monster from your deck to the graveyard, then activate one of these effects. Increase the card's level by the level of the sent monster. Reduce this card's level by the level of the sent monster. During your opponent's main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro summon 1 Synchro monster using materials including this card you control. This is a quick effect. You can only Synchro summon Excel Synchron or Synchrons once per turn. So that's pretty useful. The best part about Excel Synchron and Formula Synchron is that you can do pretty much Synchro summon during your opponent's turn. So if your opponent's about to nuke your Junk Warrior or Junk Berserker or whatever, and you have this card on the field, or Excel Synchron, guess what you get to do? And it requires 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner monster. When this card is Synchro summoned, you can draw 1 card. Once per chain, during your opponent's main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro summon using the cards you control. It's a quick effect. And that is it for the I'm going to show this guy off right fast. Yeah, look what I made. Don't know if you can see it very well. He's badass. Wouldn't you agree? Sorry, I just wanted to show him off. But that's it for the deck profile. If you liked it, be sure to like this video, comment, and if you feel like it, subscribe. I'm not going to force you to do it. Also, if you do subscribe, or if you have already subscribed, make sure you click that little notification bell. Also, I'm going to, in the comments, you guys will be picking what the next deck profile will be. Your choices are, and listen carefully, Cybers, Rocket, or Trickstar. And then, and why not? Why not Jack Knight as well? So those are your 4 choices. And they are, again, Cybers, Rocket, Trickstar, Jack Knight. Because why not? Then again, yeah, let's just go with them. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.